How you doing, everyone? Welcome to another episode of our PROCAST. This is the Area Scouts PROCAST that we stream on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern every Wednesday night, where we feature one of our top directors on the platform, or we occasionally have the special guest on these shows. We have our Director of Sports Medicine and Performance, Dr. Anthony Anzillo, and our Director of Baseball Operations, Brian Murray. Myself, as the CEO, founder of Area Scouts. Area Scouts is a one-of-a-kind data-driven health initiative which focuses on athlete development and provides athletes with real-time, complete online athlete resume and real-time corrective measures to help athletes to proceed with their development, with giving them the best chance to stay healthy on the field, on the court, on the ice, whatever specific sport they are on the platform. We currently feature baseball, softball, football, and volleyball, and now getting ready to launch lacrosse. And tonight we have our National Director of Midfielders, Lauren McCormack, and she is going to have an interview tonight with Brian Murray and kind of give us a little background on her and tell us why she became part of the Area Scouts platform. So I'm going to give you guys the stage.
All right. Thank you, Lance. And welcome, Lauren.
Thank you.
So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to ask you a series of questions all around lacrosse and your experiences and then your involvement with Area Scouts. So at what age did you start playing lacrosse, and what was your youth lacrosse experience like?
I started playing around 10 or 11, and my youth experience was different being in Texas. So lacrosse in general is more of the hype on the East Coast, maybe in West Coast in California and in Colorado. My very first practice, I went out with my best friend at the time and had an allergic reaction that sent me to the ER. But I ended up sticking with it. I played soccer and basketball throughout elementary school and middle school. And when high school came around, I had to make a choice. So I stuck with lacrosse. It's the best decision I could have made. Met so many coaches and players that shaped who I am and the player I am today. In Texas, where I'm from the Dallas area. At the time, there weren't very many club teams. So I picked my one out of the two and got to travel and do a lot of that, which helped with recruiting moving forward. But overall, it was a growing sport at the time and still is, but I wouldn't have changed picking lacrosse for anything. So
awesome. So were there any, you talked about coaches and players, but were there any coaches that made an impact on you as a player as well as a person?
Yes. There are two that really come to mind. One of them was Coach Brown. His daughter's actually playing lacrosse for Stanford right now. His oldest daughter, her and I were like the dynamic duo on the team all the time. We could kind of just like look at each other and know, okay, this is what we're doing. So he, encouraged me to join club teams with his daughter. And at the time, my mom couldn't really afford the travel. So I was loaded up with his family all the time, and they were taking me around to different tournaments and in between games, feeding me, all that stuff. So, and he actually was the one who taught me how to do draw controls. And for those who don't know, it's basically the tip off of a lacrosse game. And that's something I ended up really excelling in college. And when I got accomplishments for that, I just remember emailing him being like, thank you, Coach Brown. This is so, like, you're so amazing. So he's definitely one of my top guys there.
That's awesome. Now, I did read up that you were in, and tell me if I'm wrong here, you attended the largest high school in Texas?
One of them, it probably at the time was. I went to Allen High School, which I don't know if you guys know Kyler Murray at all. He was my quarterback.
I've heard of him. Yeah, I've heard of him.
he was my quarterback for 3 years. And of course, senior year, he's a year older than me. When he left, we lost our first state championship since I had been there. So yeah, huge school, but lacrosse still wasn't a school sponsored sport. It's still not a school sponsored sport in Texas. So you have to be on club, but it's kind of like hockey and rugby down here. But yeah, big old school.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Now, what was your recruiting process like when you went to play for Oklahoma Baptist University?
So recruiting, honestly, didn't have the biggest help. So it's a lot of reaching out to schools yourself, sending them your film, contacting them, letting them know that you're going to be at what tournaments, at what time. My coach did help me get in contact with OBU, and I had several visits with other schools, but this school, I had an overnight visit with the girls, and just based off of distance from home, what they were able to offer me athletically and chemistry with the girls, when I decided to go with OBU there. So
That's great. All right. Yeah, you find that a lot of young athletes nowadays really have to take it upon themselves and be active in their sophomore, junior years, trying to really noticed. Yeah, really early. So Athletes Unlimited, they just launched women's lacrosse this year, which is pretty exciting, in July. What are your thoughts on Athletes Unlimited, and how is it changing women's professional sports?
So I recently learned about Athletes Unlimited because personally, for a while, I thought professional women's lacrosse was kind of a lost cause. And from what I've read up about it, it seems amazing. And they came from really wanting to allow professional athletes to not necessarily have to go overseas, leave family, all of these things, to be able to make money from their sport. It gives us lacrosse players an opportunity to move on from college. A lot of us get our degrees, and either some of us do go into coaching, but people are going to school for nursing or business, marketing, going and doing those things. So having another avenue is spectacular. It's really exciting. Yeah,
I think they're doing a great job, and they're launching a bunch of different sports and seem to be growing pretty rapidly. So we're a big supporter over here.
Oh yeah.
So you're currently the head coach of University of Oklahoma club lacrosse team. What was your transition like from player to coach?
Sure. So this is my first head coach position. I was fortunate to assistant coach some travel teams in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But it's been hard. You want to get out there with them. Sometimes I just wish I could throw on a jersey. I could probably get away with it. But it's been a great experience because I had several coaches have such an impact on me. I've really taken that to heart, always telling the girls, if you need a mental day, you need a mental day. If you need someone to talk to, you can call me. So being aware that these girls are young and they have more than just lacrosse going on, that's what I've really taken with me into coaching, other than missing it.
Yeah. All right. And given your experiences, what are some of the pros and cons of today's coaching and training environments for young athletes?
So mainly the accessibility. Lacrosse, the equipment alone can put a pretty big dent in a parent's pocket. So private lessons, strength and conditioning coaches, all those things that you really need to advance onto a college level, and the price. And Lance probably remembers the first time him and I talked about lacrosse, I was just jumping out of my seat because I was like, yes, this is making lacrosse more accessible, making it's almost like mini private lessons more accessible, how to stay healthy. And that's a pro to me, is that there's platforms coming out to help athletes excel if they might not have the resources. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. And it seems like lacrosse has gained a lot of popularity lately. I see youth programs popping up all over the Northeast where there weren't as many before. Do you think the sport will continue to grow? What do you see the path of lacrosse here in the United States?
Absolutely. It's growing every day. Growing up in the DFW area, like I said, they started with 2 club teams, and now I'm sure there's more than I can count on my hand. Our Aggie Land tournament down at A&M has grown out of proportion. I just talked to the club owner of the Tulsa team that I used to coach, and she said, yeah, we're going down to Aggie Land. I'm like, from Tulsa? That's kind of a drive, but it's popping up everywhere. I just had a player come out for my OU team, and she's from Georgia. And she's like, yep, it's not too popular, but I'm telling you, once that momentum hits and those teams start popping up, it just continues to grow. And so it's really exciting to be in that era where it's really popping up.
Yeah, it's an exciting sport to watch too. I mean, I've watched my share of lacrosse games. I love it. I think it's great. I'm a big hockey fan too. So, I mean, there's very similarities between them.
There's a lot of similarities that you wouldn't expect, but yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. All right. So what do you hope to accomplish as the Area Scouts Director of Midfielders?
Accessibility. I just getting athletes involved in other avenues that can help advance their game. And it's exciting to me because it's my passion. I didn't come from the most hoity-toity place where I could afford everything. So making it more accessible to girls, that's my goal through it.
Okay. And last question for you. What is your most rewarding experience or best moment in lacrosse?
So my most rewarding, it was like fresh into summer after my junior year. I was in the running for statistical champion for draw controls in Division II. And the girl who was neck and neck with me, her team was moving on to the championship. And so it's statistical, it's per game average. Mm-hmm. And my coach had called me and he said, hey, you finished at, I think it was 11.46 draw controls per game. And I was like, oh, I was so close, second place. And he goes, no, you did it. You won, you did it. And I was like, ah! It was like the most craziest feeling is that after all the hard work, because this was the entire season, me watching this girl, okay, I got this many, she got this many, I got this many, she got this many. So at the end, just those butterflies you get from I did it. And then going out there and being oh yeah, I got this next season. So that's great. The most rewarding moment.
That's a great accomplishment. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right. So Lance, over to you, sir.
So I have 4 questions, and 2 of them are the same. So, Sandra from Maryland, just curious what you feel the biggest differences are between boys and girls lacrosse.
Ooh, Sandra, a lot. A lot. I mean, you could say there's similar strategy, and at the same time, there's not. I mean, equipment is different. That's a huge one. Rules are fairly different. Men are allowed to just smack each other, and women, it's a lot more rules regarding safety. So I guess similarities would be we have the same goal, same ball. There's a lot of differences and a lot of similarities you can find, but I would say it's like baseball and softball. There's a lot of differences, but it looks the same, kind of.
Right.
Yeah, we're always we're faced as we are launching these sports to make the decision if it's going to be, one set of directors for boys and girls, or if we need to have two separate teams for boys and girls. And volleyball just happened to be one that we actually have two male volleyball players and two female, directors, and two female directors. And so the game is so alike that they're able to kind of put that together and have boys and girls volleyball together. But I think it was actually Scarlett that had first said to me that I didn't realize in the beginning that of the same thing you said, how different it is, and that it really is going to be where the directors would be well suited to have a separate boys team of directors and a women's.
You wouldn't want me coaching men's, basically.
I didn't say that. You did.
I think soccer will be very similar too, from a women's and men's. They'll be same. They'll be the same. Soccer.
Oh, yeah.
Soccer will be under one set of directors.
Yeah. My daughter is a sophomore, just gave up hockey to focus on lacrosse, wants to play in college. You just mentioned you had help reaching out to college coaches. If you didn't have help, what would you have done? Our college coach coaches 3 different sports. We don't really have someone to help us directly. Would love to hear any recommendations.
Absolutely. Make sure you have some sort of film and you're sending it to coaches. And if you're at any tournaments, even games. So if there's a college in your hometown or close driving distance, invite them out to your school sponsored games, if not on a travel team. If you're on a travel team, there's national tournaments. There's like a Denver shootout. There's one in Palm Springs, all over, where coaches come in hordes. But you need to try to send them beforehand your film, because then they're going to decide whether this player is something that they're looking for and something they're going to watch, because they're going to be contacted by many, many players.
So did your coach send in your film for you? Is that
No.
what you? Oh, who did you say helped you? I'd missed that.
So I actually ordered my film from one of the recruiting tournaments that was at. So you can go, actually, I think they film all the games. And then at the end of the tournament or in the middle of the tournament, you or your parents can go up to a tent and buy the film. Unless you've got a mom or a dad who's like super sick with the camera and editing, that's a way you can go too. But we ordered the film, and then I would email that out to coaches, or a lot of teams, if you go on their athletics webpage, you can basically apply and send your film and your information, your position. And that's the gist of it.
Is that where you wanted to go? That specific school, you submitted it there because you wanted to go there?
I sent it to a lot.
Oh.
You just kind of gotta get them out there, and you're gonna get no replies, or you'll have one team that you're really not interested in that just bombards your house with mail. So it could go 2 ways.
Cassie from Chicago. I was just offered the varsity coaching position where I live. I've coached younger girls 10 to 12, but never the high school level. What are some of your biggest struggles coaching, and would love any tips that you have for me?
So this one's a little embarrassing. I'm 24 and my girls are from 18 to 21. So they still call me Lauren, even though every time I introduce myself, I'm like, hi, I'm Coach Cleveland. So that's hard when you're getting with the older girls and if you're younger, for a respect side of things. But I don't see it any differently. I've kind of coached my whole life because Texas, growing the sport, I always had girls who had never thrown or caught before on the team, and you're always having to walk them through it. But it's just confidence, getting out there and knowing that what you're doing and walking them through. And then sometimes with the older ones, if they're having issues with concentrating or they're chatting too much. I always tell them on their warm-ups and their first laps, you can talk all you want. Talk it out, get it out, because when we're done with warm-ups, I need your attention. If we have issues with that, we'll take a yoga break. We'll just stop. We'll do a yoga pose. We'll like bring ourselves back in and then hit the field again. So confidence, and then trying to get them to really pay attention.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Lauren. I appreciate you being on tonight. You're welcome to hang out if you want. You're not obligated. We're going to just go through the Area Scouts platform. Brian's going to share his screen and show the parents kind of what the athlete side looks like, and then Anthony's going to go through the base assessment. But thank you very much. Appreciate you taking the time out tonight.
All righty. Thank you.
Look forward to seeing Lacrosse.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lauren.
All right. So can I share my screen when you get a chance, Lance?
You got it.
All right. So I'm going to take you through the Area Scouts program and then turn it over to Anthony after my presentation for his presentation on the base assessment. So first and foremost, if you want to learn more about us, check out our website, www.areascouts.com. In here, if you're an athlete or a parent, you can create a free profile for your player and be able to get some of our free material in there, including a neural skills assessment, nutrition assessment, as well as a athletic mindset assessment. Those are all done by professionals that are going to give you some tips and things you can think about for each of those categories, and really is very helpful. So go on, create your free profile, and also an evaluator will contact you when you do that. And you never know, you might have an evaluator right down the street from you that you may want to start working with. You can also find out about our team on here. So you can go to our team and look at all the different directors. We have former and current professional athletes in most of our sports that we have. We also have Olympians in softball and baseball, some former Pro Bowlers in football. So we have a really great staff here and people that are going to put some phenomenal development material together for the athletes. Okay, so first step in the process is always going to be the base assessment. It's going to be a complete outline of the athlete's overall physical foundation. Anthony's going to go into more detail, and I'll just tell you that it is very important for athletes to understand, their mobility, their flexibility, their athleticism, how they are as an athlete first, how they move on the field, how they move in their sport to be able to really perform at a high level. So this assessment is second to none. And as I said, Anthony is going to cover this in a little bit more detail after my presentation. So first step is base. And then we go into an on-field assessment. Now with volleyball, there's also an on-court assessment. Hockey comes up, it's going to be an on-ice assessment. All right, it's really going to focus on those fundamentals of the sport. This on-field assessment is what you would see in softball and baseball. So we're going to take video and we're going to break it down in all aspects of the game: catching, fielding, pitching, hitting. We're also going to get those very important metrics in each sport, the numbers that really all colleges are looking at when they decide if they want to be interested in players. So we are taking those metrics for each of those aspects of the game as well. So you get a complete set of metrics, and really great that you can track these with Area Scouts and track your progression throughout the years. So if you start with us, let's say at the age of 12, 13, you're going to have many years of data and metrics to be able to show on a performance graph really where you've gone in these different aspects of the game, which is very important to show that you are committed to development and getting better. Every athlete, very affordable here. So base only, it's going to run you $117. It's going to include 2 months on our platform with the base development. All right. So if you were to do the base and the on-field assessment, it's an additional $70. So it'll be $187 with $25 month to month or $20 for an annual subscription to us. and you're going to get access to all the videos from a development standpoint, access to all these directors, these professional, former and current professionals. So you're going to have really the best resources around to be able to help develop you through those important youth sporting years. Have a lot of partnerships here at Area Scouts as well. A lot of great partners we like to work with. So Diamond Kinetics is one of our partners for metrics. And, you know, a lot of our evaluators have the Diamond Kinetics devices, but we also do use other devices here, depending on what our evaluators have access to. Scout Hub, a great resource for really getting some, you know, pro scouting reports and seeing where you are against the field in baseball. New England AAU Baseball is also a partner of ours. We have Sports Thread, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And then we have some of these devices that we use in some of our videos and some of them that we just support because we know they're really good products for athletes. So check those out as well. Okay, so let's get into the profiles. So this is what the login screen looks like. When you get in there, you'll be able to sign up for an evaluation. You'll be able to put in all of your personal information in here and you know, a little bit about you, your physical aspects, attributes. And that's another great thing to track. My son is turning 13 next month, and he sprouted up about 6 inches in the last, you know, 14 months. So it's crazy to see the difference when he first started with Area Scouts to where he is now. It's pretty amazing to be able to track that as well through here. So like I said, you can request an evaluation. You can also request training on here, and that's a little bit different from the evaluation. So a lot of our evaluators are also coaches. They do lessons, they do one-on-ones, so they can get you specific training if you want more training in, say, catching, or if you want, as a wide receiver, you want specific wide receiver training or anything, you know, specific to your sport that you want to work on. If they don't do personal lessons, they're going to be able to direct you to the right coach. There's somebody that they've dealt with. They know these are the people that are in the business out there working with athletes every day. So, you know, they have a lot of resources, a lot of contacts, and they'll be able to get you the right training. So we want your evaluator to be seen as that, you know, one person that you can go to and get all your needs solved for your athlete development. You can also ask questions of your evaluator or just contact them directly by phone. All right, so then when we get in here, we have the base athletes and premium athletes. This is where you would look for those pro resource assessments. So the neuro skills, the athletic mindset, and also the nutrition are going to be in there. Once we get into the premium section, and this is for baseball, you can see that you have statistics as well. So any stats you have over the past 5-6 years, or how many you can get your hands on, you can put in here so you can really track that as well. It's a great, you know, portfolio of what you've done. So if you had 6 home runs this year and next year you came up and you had 10 home runs, you're going to see that increase. You're going to be able to see, you know, where you've been doing well and what you may still need to work on. And we have these for hitting, pitching, fielding, you know, so there's a lot of information that you could put in here, make this one very big, complete portfolio of your youth athletic career. Moving on, we do the metrics as I talked about, and these are the different devices that some of our evaluators have access to. Our standard one is for Diamond Kinetics, but we also do use these other devices out in the field. And we're going to get those hitting metrics, pitching, catching, fielding. We're also going to get some base running metrics as well. Home to first, first to third. And here you're going to see example of a hitting metrics where you have the max velocity, spin off the bat, the long angle, the distance in feet. So all the good things that you want to see. Then we're going to go to the base benchmarks. So here's where that base assessment is going to spit out this very specific to the athlete development plan on how they can become, like I said, better movers, more mobile, you know, with normal mobility and good flexibility. So in this example here, we have a standing toe touch where the athlete needed to touch their toes while keeping their legs completely straight, their knees completely straight, for 3 seconds. And this athlete was only able to touch their ankles while keeping their knees completely straight. So they're going to get 2 separate videos, one for mobility and one for motor control. And these are highly impactful stretches and exercises that Anthony's put together. I've personally seen athletes go from a 1 to a 3 But if you are at a 1 and you go up to a 2, you're going to have, and a lot of these exercises are going to be different for the level 1, level 2. All right. If you get a 3, you've met the standard and you don't have an exercise that you need to perform for that. So you want to focus on what you really need to work on. And we're going to have other things for athleticism, sequence, and endurance. When you go in there, there's going to be other videos that are going to help you improve in those areas as an athlete. All right. And then on the on-field assessment side, we're also going to have these videos that are specific to each aspect of the sport, like I discussed. For this one, this is a leg lift. These are the objectives that you see here, 1 through 4, what we should do in a leg lift as a pitcher. And these are some of the flags that could come up: toe dominant lift, knee tracking to first or third base, depending if they're a righty or a lefty. And they're going to have a corrected video. That video is going to be Olympian Josh Zide, and our director of pitching for baseball. So if softball, you're going to have a director of pitching for softball that also has played at a high level, professional level. So really great information, great drills to really get the specific things for the athlete they need to work on to improve their performance. All right, lastly, Sports Thread. So all of our premium athletes get access to a Sports Thread profile free of charge, where they can put all of their academics, their stats, videos, upload those videos that Lauren was talking about that are so important. And they can actually reach out to colleges through this process. So we are helping you with that process that was discussed earlier. That seems so daunting, but with a profile like this, including your area scout stats and your metrics in here, it makes it a lot easier for you to send these out to colleges and really put yourself ahead of the game. All right, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Anthony for his presentation on base. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. So my name's Anthony Anzillo. I'm a physical therapist and a strength and conditioning specialist. I created the base assessment. So every athlete that comes onto our platform is going to start with a base assessment. And really, it's a very thorough assessment that utilizes and looks at every muscle, every joint, every bone in the body, and evaluates it to see if there are any problems. So if you have any issues, it's a very sensitive assessment, and it's highly likely that we're going to pick those issues up and be able to immediately provide corrective exercises to fix those specific issues, all with the end goal of making every athlete more healthy and reducing their risk of injury and improving their athletic performance. So like you heard, base assessment is the starting point. There are 4 sections of this assessment. It's biomechanics, athleticism, sequence, and endurance. So for the biomechanics section, we're looking at fundamental movement patterns, 7 different movement patterns, one of which you saw from Brian was a standing toe touch. And all these movements, they're simple in nature, but they really require a lot of different pieces of the body working in a coordinated way together. So for the toe touch example, for one to meet the criteria of a 3 for that, the athlete needs to have adequate hamstring flexibility, hip mobility, joint mobility of each of the segments of their spine, as well as the motor control to put all those pieces together in a coordinated fashion. And if any one of those areas is lacking, then they're likely not going to perform well enough to earn the score of 3 for that specific test. So that will be flagged, and the athlete will be provided both a mobility exercise to address any areas of joint stiffness or muscle tightness, as well as a motor control exercise more targeted at improving the efficiency of the central nervous system to help coordinate those different pieces working together to perform the movement functionally. So regardless of what the athlete's limiting factor is, they're going to receive at least one exercise for each of these movements that they don't score a 3 on to improve that so that they can move well, all with the end goal of them being able to perform that specific or similar movement on the field for whichever sport that they're playing. Next, we move into the athleticism section, and there things are a little bit more physically demanding, where we're looking at several different tests of upper body and lower body strength, as well as various tests of speed and agility. And here in the athleticism section, we have the ability to compare right to left sides, because asymmetries are also a major risk factor for injury. So if an athlete is a lot stronger or has a lot better balance or mobility in one leg versus the other, there's a lot of research showing that increases the risk of injury. So we can identify those asymmetries and again provide corrective exercises to address anything that the athlete is deficient in. Next, after that, we move into the sequence portion of the assessment. And when we say sequence, we're talking about the kinematic sequence. And that's basically how efficiently the athlete's able to transfer power from their legs through their core to their arms, where then that power is delivered. So it's most evident in rotational athletes like hitters and pitchers, and also certainly lacrosse players. That to get power for a shot, it's certainly not just a movement from the arms, but it takes a coordinated effort from generating that power initially in the legs, transferring that power through the core, and then delivering that power by the arms, which is throwing the ball. So the more efficiently an athlete's able to perform that power transfer sequence, the more force that they'll be able to produce. It's also true in many other movements, not just these rotational movements, but that's kind of how it's easiest to visualize. So we have several different tests that we administer to get an idea of the athlete's ability to transfer power using the whole body in different directions and different planes. And then again, providing correctives on how to make that process better if they're lacking. And then finally, we move into the endurance section of the assessment. And this is really important because fatigue is another risk factor, not only for injury, but also for poor performance. So the more resistant an athlete is to fatigue, the lower the risk of injury will be, and the better their performance will be, especially when it comes to the end of a long season or the end of a game. Those factors, when those times where they might otherwise be fatigued and not move as well. So, and again, with this section, they're also provided with corrective exercises if their performance isn't up to the pre-identified standard for each of the tests that they're completing. So that's the gist of the base assessment. And then after the base assessment, the athletes move on to the on-field assessment, which Brian described. Every evaluator that comes on and works with us, they go through a very thorough training process where they're taught the whole base assessment section by section through a series of different modules. And then they perform the assessment on a number of different athletes and send it in directly to me, where I coach them up and give them feedback. So that's the certification process. So any athlete that comes onto the platform, regardless of which evaluator you are assigned to, you can really rest assured that they've been thoroughly trained and they've proven their ability to administer and score this assessment accurately. So you're going to get the full benefit of all the full base assessment, as well as all the exercises that are necessary for you to do to address any of your issues. So love to take any questions if we've got any. Sure.
So it looks like we got a dozen questions here. So first, Brian, you can answer this one. Are there corrective measures done on the field or at home?
So during the assessment, we're not really trying to correct there, and there's a couple reasons behind that. I have pulled athletes aside and made some suggestions before I even submit their assessment, if there's something that's easy for me to explain to them and to go over. But we usually do have quite a few athletes that we're working with at the time, so it's hard to kind of pull people aside. But after the assessment, I usually go over stuff with some parents, and if there's something that really stands out, we do cover that. But most of it is done through the assessment, and then the specific drills that are assigned are going to address that concern that in the performance. But also the other reason why we don't really correct too much on site is because our evaluators are going to look at this video and actually slow it down into slow motion. And there's a lot of things you can see besides just with the naked eye in live time, so that's very helpful, especially from a hitting and pitching standpoint, when you're looking at, fast moving body parts, and really being able to, for instance, see the shoulder hip separation on a pitcher, at foot strike, what's going on with their shoulders in relation to their hip rotation. So those are all important things. And from a base standpoint, I'll just address that too. There are some situations where if something, really doesn't look right, or it's not moving the way you would expect it to, then we may pull the parent and athlete aside at the end and just say, you might want to, get this checked out. There was some discomfort there. There was obvious pain or something occurred that, shouldn't really normally occur doing the simple tests that we've put together for base as well.
I'll add to that too on the performance side. There must be at least a dozen or 20 parents every single season that I'm coaching that always ask me what they can, what videos they should be watching on YouTube and how they can help their kids at home, because these kids a lot of the times are asking parents, can you help me with something in the backyard, or and this is to me, I think this is one of the things it's kind of underrated on the platform. We never really talk about it, but a lot of this stuff I didn't know, even with 10, 15 years coaching, a lot of this stuff I haven't seen before. And I would have loved to 10 years ago with my kids been able to work on this stuff myself with them and know some of the answers to this stuff that I simply didn't know. And that was, I thought that I, knew everything. It's like most coaches think, but you really do. I've heard some of the evaluators on here that have been coaching for 20, 30 years are learning things every single day with some of these corrective measures on both on Anthony's side and on the performance side. So for you as parents to be able, and coaches that have kids, to be able to go back in the backyard and help your own kids with some of this stuff, it to me is priceless. You're talking about 2 or 3 minute videos that pinpoint exactly what your athlete needs to work on, and you could be really getting a jump on everybody else if you're getting that help at home and on the field at the same time. It's pretty valuable. Can you explain more what the neuro assessment does? I don't understand the neuro between mindset. I actually didn't. So from what I understand, and again, I'm not an expert in neuro mindset. Neuro is more tailored towards doing hand-eye coordination exercises, and mindset's more the thinking part of the game. Would you say that, Brian?
Yeah. So your mindset is really, believing in yourself, believing that you're the best in the field, putting yourself in that mindset while you're playing, being ready for tough situations, knowing how to deal with adversity and disappointment. And then the neural skills portion is really opening up neural pathways by doing specific types of drills that can help with pattern recognition and a bunch of different, things that your brain can actually make you a better performer, just because it can make a decision faster and your body reacts quicker. So those are the two differences that I can kind of pinpoint.
This is Nathan who teaches the neuro skills on the platform. These are actually all his clients. Maybe I can show we have a couple extra minutes here. I'll show the testimonial on. So these are Nathan's clients. This is Steph Curry doing an exercise. This is a neuro exercise, him dribbling the ball at the same time, catching a ball with sunglasses on. I mean, that's a typical neuro drill that they'll do for just, again, focus. But I have this testimonial from Nathan, from Josh Bell, who's one of Nathan's clients, and this kind of explains a little bit about some of the things that they say to Nathan that they've witnessed. So I'm going to share my sound. Just let me know if you can hear this.
It's only a matter of time before, more and more people are believers.
My velo's gone up for sure. And when I first started, I was 88, 91. Now I'm pretty much 92, 95.
Definitely the bat speed go up. The balls were they were jumping off the bat, and you're slowing the game down.
Everything just became so much slower at the plate. Pitches are looking like beach balls up there.
Working on pattern recognition, and I feel like I'm able to legitimately call 4 or 5 pitches ahead.
I don't know how to explain it. It's just everything's just open. It is open. That's basically what pitching is, like, just patterns.
And I was ready for it. Another home run. It was just, you just knew what they were going to do to you. It was just weird.
You know, I'm all in with it. I love it for sure, and I can't wait for this next round.
So those are just the testimonials from Nathan's professional clients at the professional level, and as of January, actually we're going to do a small launch prior to January. We're going to be launching this for high school athletes 13 and up. So it'll be the first time this program's ever offered, and it is exclusive to Area Scouts. So once you become part of Area Scouts, you can have your athletes join this program as well as the rest of our assessments. I currently own 3 facilities. Do you allow facilities to learn how to do your assessments? So yes, we have a program that you have 3 facilities. So we have a program that can train 3 of you at each facility if you wanted to do that. You can actually reach out to Brian at areascouts.com and wherever you're located there. Maybe if you could put your information in here as well, and I'll take that down. But yes, we do programs where you'll get trained under Anthony to go through the base assessment, get certified there, and have at least one person in each one of your facilities be base certified, as well as any sport specific certifications that you want as well. That's Brian, Bryan, at areascouts.com.
I was going to mention something. I was going to mention that.
Where are you located? Where do we need to go for an evaluation? So, Brian, you can give those details.
Yeah, located all across the country. There is still small parts of the country that we don't have a huge presence in, but if you're around in major metropolitan areas, we have evaluators all across the country. So, the best thing to do is to go on and create a free profile. Again, it's free. Just go on, sign up, and the closest evaluator will be assigned to you and reach out to you, and then you'll be able to see, how close they are. And we also have virtual programs too, where we can do the virtual base assessment. So, don't let that stop you from getting that good health assessment.
Anthony, this one's you. My 15-year-old son is struggling with core strength. Is this something that can directly cause an injury alone? Do you guys assign strength training for athletes inside the base program?
Yeah. So a couple of the core tests that we do, we assess a couple different types of planks, and if there's any core weakness, that test would pick that up, and therefore they would be assigned a couple different core strengthening exercises. To answer the other part of the question, sure, weakness in the core can be a contributor to back pain, as well as a number of other injuries, since it is an important part of that kinematic chain, like I described. So if there's a weak link in any part of the chain, there can be added stress placed on shoulder, elbow, whatever it is. Even you can make the argument that core weakness can contribute to knee injuries just due to poor positioning and poor control. So strong core is very important, and all around for everyone, really.
My daughter's 11 years old, plays softball. She could really use a boost in her confidence. Sounds like this could give her goals to reach and feel success without having everything measured solely on the field. She is someone that is only comfortable working with females. Is this something that she could work with a female evaluator on? So same as kind of Brian mentioned, if you go fill out a free profile on her, get her signed up. It takes 2 minutes to sign up. It's free. And then if there's not an evaluator right in your area, she will come through to on the admin side. We'll be able to see her coming onto the platform, getting registered, and then we can decide from there if there's an evaluator that's close enough to get to her, a female evaluator. But that's not a problem. As long as we have a female evaluator that's close enough to you, we can certainly do that. Otherwise, you can also do the virtual as well. What is your number one age group right now? What would you say the age bracket?
12 to 15, somewhere around there. It varies.
And that's really that hasn't been dictated from us. That's where age is 8 and up, and it's really been the majority of the athletes that are on the platform are from evaluators that came on, and that was the age group of athletes that they were just happened to be working with. So now in 2022, we're doing a pretty big marketing push here. So that will be tailored to 8 all the way up through the high school level. So I anticipate that all evening out pretty across the board in all our sports to be ages 8 all the way up through the high school level is going to be where we focus. My daughter plays lacrosse. What is the target date to bring lacrosse to the platform? That is going to be in probably the end of quarter 1. I'm going to just say that to be safe. It might be in the middle, but I would say the end of quarter 1 of 2022. We're just finishing up the first 4 sports here, and then once those are 100%, that will be the very next one we finish. How do we reach out to an evaluator? So same thing, just come on and fill out a profile. It'll match you up with the closest evaluator to you. And like I said, if it doesn't, then we'll get notified and we will contact you and let you know what to do from there. This might not have anything to do with what you guys do, but my son suffers from shin splints. Do you have any advice? Anthony? I never heard that before.
A lot of times it's a volume relative to rest issue first and foremost. So make sure he's getting enough rest. It's probably the most generic tip that I have. Aside from that, be good to since he's got an active injury, we recommend him seeing a physician, sports medicine physician, or a physical therapist in your area to get that assessed. We're in the business of trying to prevent injuries rather than treat active injuries.
How many base assessments do you recommend an athlete doing per year to be able to monitor and their progress in each assessment?
Probably, I would say 3 to 4 a year or so, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, typically, depending when you come on the platform, if it's, right before the season start, do a preseason, mid-season, postseason. If it's, you could even do one in the off season while you're training for the upcoming season and make it 4, like Anthony said, once a quarter would, if that athlete keeps applying himself and doing the corrective measures and really wants, because it does take the athlete, putting in their effort too. If they're not doing the corrective measures, then that's half the battle right there. So making sure that they're kind of going throughout the year wanting to get better and going through these corrective measures so that each evaluation they're seeing that progress, that's key. But I could see definitely once a quarter. And similar to anything. Oh, Anthony, is the base assessment similar to anything you did in the NFL?
So it's a combination of just all sorts of different tests and assessments that I've just used throughout my career, both working in Dr. Andrews' facilities and in the NFL as well. So it's just putting together pieces of just all those different years of experience. There's the functional movement screen that's out there, and that's similar. From the outside, it could look similar to the biomechanics portion and of the assessment. And then the athleticism, sequence, endurance sections, those are all not close to that at all. Through the athleticism section, there's a lot of tests that are commonly used for return to sport testing for both upper and lower body injuries. So to get cleared to go back to playing sport after one of those types of injuries, sequence, all those things are just different from any of those. So I don't. It's just a combination of a lot of different tests and measurement techniques that have been used, that I've seen and used in all those different settings.
All right, that was the last one. All right, thank you guys for being on tonight. Appreciate your time being on, and another great call on Wednesday. Great questions tonight for sure. Appreciate everyone tuning in, and look forward to seeing everyone again next Wednesday night.
Great. Thanks, Lance. Have a
Thanks,
good night.
everybody.